Hello, welcome to the complete Empower Building demo system here. Um, our demonstrator here is Mike, and he's graciously agreed to be our demo tonight. Mike is a low handicap golfer who's been working with the principles of this system for several years, so he understands he has the strength in his body. He's going to show you here how to put the weights on. Now, in Mike's case, he's going to put all the weights on because Mike has developed that kind of strength where he can swing the club in a very slow, controlled fashion with all the weights on, but certainly someone starting out is not going to do that. But he's going to show you how the weights slip over the shaft and are secured by the collar. It's pretty simple. And then it's a matter of moving towards the program. When I was really young, I was building a pigeon coop with my grandfather. My grandfather invited me to build a pigeon coop on his property since I couldn't have him in the city, and I was very interested in racing pigeons at the time. And when we started to build it, I grabbed my hammer and I held it up by the claw, and he kept telling me to, ask me why I was choking the hammer and to keep moving my hands back towards the end of the hammer. And so we went back and forth on this. Every time he looked away, I would choke up, and then when he'd see me, he'd tell me to go back onto the handle, and this went on for days, in fact, throughout the process. And I look back at that on years ago, and I start to understand that my grandfather was trying to teach me the principles of leverage. If you hold the hammer on the end of the handle, much like a golf club, and the weight is forward, you have more leverage. But what I was trying to show my grandfather indirectly was control. I couldn't control the hammer way back on the end of the hammer, so I had to choke up in order to get control, in order to be able to hit the nail. After that, or looking back on that, I start to realize the relationship, a powerful relationship between leverage and control. And that's part of the principles of this program. So I'm going to start out, Mike's going to lift the club up, and notice as the weight starts to move away from his body, he starts to lose a little bit of control there. And it brings it back down. So the club starts to feel heavier as it gets away from the body. And it's harder to control. But over a period of time, and with less weight, Mike is able to control that movement. So he's going to start by warming up the muscles here, taking a few quicker swings, using momentum just for the idea of warming up the muscles. And once those muscles are warmed up, then Mike is ready to move on to the next step in the program, which is slowing down the movement to about half speed. So what happens here when we slow down the movement? There's a lot of things going on here. The muscles, the large muscle groups, start to fatigue faster. And as he swings the club fully, he starts to notice weak points in the swing, in the muscles, parts where he's been using momentum to get past these, where the club is actually heavier than it is in other parts of the swing. Just because the muscles aren't really fully supporting the club in that position. But by using momentum, he's able to move past those positions. So once we slow it down, like he's doing here, a few things happen. The supportive muscles start to engage, and new what we call neural pathways, that is the brain connection message centers to the muscles, start to form. So we start to form new neural pathways from the brain to the muscles. Now, Mike's going to start slowing it down even more now to super slow speed, so even more connections can be made. So the brain, what it basically is happening right now in Mike's body is that the muscles can't support, the large muscles have trouble supporting the object, the heavy object, so it's sending out a help signal. And in the form of the supportive muscle groups. So the supportive muscle groups are starting to lend a hand because the large muscle groups can no longer support the heavy weight at the end of the shaft. Now, those supportive muscle groups are flowing into not only the arms but into the shoulders, and the shoulders into the back, and the back into the legs, and it goes throughout the body. So we're starting to ignite an entire system to create that action, to strengthen that action. Now, as Mike continues, the muscles fatigue even more, and more supportive muscle groups are called upon to complete the action. And over a period of time, using this program, we began to notice a retraining of the body. Now, instead of running on just 4 cylinders, you're like a car, your body is now running on 8. Now the 4 were always there. They just weren't being used because it wasn't necessary, because we were using momentum. By taking away the momentum, now we've retrained the body to move in a much stronger, more efficient way. So when we get back to using momentum, the body remembers to ignite all of the muscles in the swing, and ultimately this results in more control and strength and power, which is going to give you that extra 10 yards off the tee. Not just 10 yards off the tee, but a straight extra 10 yards off the tee. So even if you didn't get the 10 yards, you'd be straighter because you have more control. And that's what we're all looking for in the golf swing. Long and straight. Thank you.